there are telescopes searching the skies for signals, for hints, for a sign of civilizations.
The international activist and hacktivist group Anonymous have just confirmed the existence of aliens living among us. Over the past decade, several reports and sightings have been recorded about seeing aliens and UFOs, but they have always been debunked by the government saying they are not real. Well, Anonymous has gotten the truth out from the government database, and the content of these files on aliens is beyond shocking. What details about aliens are in these leaked files? Is the government working together with aliens? Join us as we explore the top 10 signs of aliens leaked by Anonymous. Files about life on Mars. One of the files that were leaked was one of NASA's secret files, and it contained crucial information about life on Mars. The file contained reports that were written after an investigation was done at the site of an ancient river delta by the Perseverance rover. It was with this rover NASA scientists gathered more samples, and it became the biggest discovery on the Perseverance rover mission. The samples gathered by NASA's scientists had organic matter, and the presence of organic matter signified that Jezero Crater, which probably once held a lake, and the delta that empties into it, had potentially habitable environments 3.5 billion years ago. Ken Farley, a Perseverance Project scientist at the California Institute of Technology in Pasadena, confirmed in the report that they made the discovery while studying some rocks in the samples. They found out that the rocks they were investigating had the highest concentration of organic matter ever found on the mission. Organic molecules in this context are of interest on Mars because they stand as the building blocks of life, such as hydrogen, carbon, and nitrogen, as well as oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Basically, discovering organic matter while hunting for potential signs of life on another planet is a big clue, and the fact that organic matter was found in such a sedimentary rock, which is known for preserving fossils of ancient life here on Earth, just seals it. So could it be that aliens once existed on Mars and probably moved to another location? 2023 alien sighting. This was the most recent information Anonymous leaked, and it is about an alien sighting that happened this year. Most times we've heard of reports and sightings of aliens and UFOs, but sighting not one but two UFOs hovering in the sky is definitely not what one expected to see. The video was taken on the 2nd of January 2023 and was uploaded on Reddit by a user named MaxKeller96. While the user uploaded this video, he explained how he came across this encounter. The Reddit user was hanging out with his family on a hike before they saw something shiny in the sky close to the mountains. This got their attention, and as they had no idea what it was at the time, they stopped to look at it for a while. Although the Reddit user could not get good footage of the entire thing happening, he was able to see the UFO hover in the sky alongside his family before it sped off out of sight. Bacteria that belong to aliens. Finding information from leaked files is one thing, but hearing a scientist from NASA admit that an alien life form was detected is another. This announcement was made when tiny fossilized bacteria were detected on 3 meteorites that came from space. Yep, the same place alien-related phenomena take place. This claim was made by Richard Hoover, a NASA astrologist, and he stated that there is evidence of microfossils related to a cyanobacteria, which is also known as pond scum. The blue-green algae were found on the freshly fractured inner surfaces of 3 meteorites. These microscopic structures comprised carbon, which is a marker for Earth-type life, and almost no nitrogen too. Nitrogen can also be a sign of earthly life, but according to Hoover, its absence only means that whatever nitrogen was in these structures had decomposed into a gaseous form long ago. Now, leaked alien files, alien bacteria, that's a lot to take in. But wait till you hear about the leaked FBI document. Leaked FBI document. It's the most popular file to ever exist in the FBI vault, and over the past 2 years this file has been viewed almost 1 million times. What's amusing about this file is that it's only a single page, but the details in it are groundbreaking. The file in question is a memo from March 22, 1950. It was written by Guy Hottel, and like all memos to FBI headquarters at that time, it was written to Director J. Edgar Hoover and also recorded and indexed in FBI records. The memo's subject was anything but ordinary. It talked about a story told to an agent by a third party who said an Air Force investigator had reported that 3 flying saucers were recovered in New Mexico. In the memo, these sources are described as being circular in shape with raised centers and are approximately 50 feet in diameter. The memo reported further saying each one was occupied by 3 bodies of human shape, but only 3 feet tall, dressed in metallic cloth of a very fine texture. Each body was bandaged in a manner similar to the blackout suits used by speed flyers and test pilots. After Hottle relayed the informant's claim that the sources had been discovered because the government's high-powered radar in the area had interrupted the controlling mechanism of the sources. The memo ends saying that no further evaluation was attempted regarding the matter by the FBI agent. The fact that these files were kept secret until it was leaked by Anonymous shows how much stuff the government keeps from us. Huge object blocking lights from newly discovered star. Another leaked file talking about the discovery of a strange pattern of light surrounding a distant star called KIC 846-2852 has seen even the most sensible astronomers throw their arms up with a sure why not, arguing that there is definitely some sort of advanced alien technology at work here and it can't reasonably be ignored. Aliens should always be the very last hypothesis you consider, but this looked like something you would expect an alien civilization to build. Jason Wright, an astronomer from Penn State University in the US, told The Atlantic. First up, though, a little bit about the star in question. KIC 846-2852, located about 1,500 light-years away between the Cygnus and Lyra constellations of our Milky Way galaxy, KIC 846-2852 is brighter, hotter, and more massive than our Sun. These brightness dips are usually very slight, with the stars dimming by less than 1% every few days, weeks, or months, depending on the size of the planet's orbit, says astronomer Phil Platt at Slate. What makes KIC 846-2852 such a strange star to study is that not only are there way more dips of brightness than expected, but these dips are highly irregular. There's no periodic orbiting going on here, just a bunch of strange light-blocking shapes with no discernible pattern to them. And these dimming effects are significant. Scientists are reporting that at one point, the amount of starlight dropped by 15%, and then at another by 22%. And this tells us a whole lot, says Platt. Straight away, we know we're not dealing with a planet here. Even a Jupiter-sized planet only blocks roughly 1% of this kind of star's light, and that's about as big as a planet gets. It can't be due to a star either, we'd see it if it were, and the lack of a regular repeating signal belies both of these as well. Whatever is blocking the star is big though, up to half the width of the star itself. NASA official confession on aliens. This particular piece of information that strongly supports the existence of aliens came as a confession from Brian O'Leary, a former astronaut and scientist. Brian recalled that when NASA called up its 6th group of astronauts in August 1967, he was a part of that group. O'Leary had been a member of Princeton University's physics faculty for many years, and according to him, there is substantial evidence indicating that Earth is being visited by extraterrestrial beings. He also claimed that advanced civilizations arrived on Earth a very long time ago and that these civilizations employ technology that is founded on consciousness. There is much evidence that we have been contacted by aliens and that these civilizations have been visiting us for a very long time. Their appearance may be bizarre from any traditional Western materialistic point of view. These visitors use conscious influencing technologies, the toroid, and use co-rotating magnetic disks for their propulsion system, which appear to be the common denominator of the UFO phenomenon. During a live interview with Kerry Cassidy of Project Camelot, he shared some fascinating insights regarding Carl Sagan. O'Leary and Sagan had been friends for a number of years, but when O'Leary decided to leave Cornell, they had a falling out. After his departure, O'Leary began to explore some of Carl's work. He claimed that the iconic face at Cydonia on Mars, which was photographed by Viking in 1975 and resembled a human face, was altered by Sagan before being released to the public. It was very, very disappointing to me because not only was Carl wrong, he also fudged data. He published a picture of the face in Parade magazine, a popular article saying that the face was just a natural formation, but he doctored the picture to make it not look like a face. Now we're confused. Is there really a face on Mars? And if there is, whose face is it? We don't know for sure. Missing Air Force jet. The night an Air Force jet mysteriously disappeared over Lake Superior was on November 23, 1953, and it was stormy. Near the US-Canadian border, US Air Defense Command noticed a blip on the radar where it shouldn't have been, an unidentified object in restricted airspace over Lake Superior not far from Sioux Locks, the Great Lakes' most vital commercial gateway. An F-89C Scorpion jet from Truax Air Force Base in Madison, Wisconsin took off from nearby Kinross AFB to investigate with 2 crew members on board. First Lieutenant Felix Moncler, who had clocked 811 flying hours including 121 in a similar aircraft, took the pilot's seat while Second Lieutenant Robert Wilson was observing radar. Unfortunately, the men would not return from their intercept mission. While in the air, Lieutenant Wilson had difficulty tracking the unknown object, which kept changing course. So with ground control directing the aviators over the radio, the Scorpion gave chase. The jet, traveling at 500 miles per hour, pursued the object for 30 minutes, gradually closing in. On the ground, the radar operator guided the jet down from 25,000 to 7,000 feet, watching one blip chase the other across the radar screen. Gradually, the jet caught up to the unknown object about 70 miles off Keweenaw Point in Upper Michigan, at an altitude of 8,000 feet, approximately 160 miles northwest of Sioux Locks. At that point, the 2 radar blips converged into one, after which the radar return from the F-89 simply disappeared from the ground-controlled interception station's radar scope. And then the first radar returned, indicating the unidentified object, which veered off and vanished too. The United States Air Force, United States Coast Guard, and Canadian Air Force conducted an extensive search and rescue effort. No wreckage or sign of the pilots was ever found. What do you think happened if it wasn't aliens that abducted the fighter jet? Alien Abduction Eyewitness. Also known as Report 13, this incident took place in March 1956 with Air Force Sergeant Jonathan P. Lovett, who was assisting Major William Cunningham in the White Sands Missile Testing Grounds near Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. While they searched for scattered debris from a recent rocket test, Cunningham was shocked to hear a loud scream pierce the air. Thinking Lovett had perhaps been bitten by a snake, Cunningham crossed the dune to help his partner when he purportedly saw one of the more bizarre human extraterrestrial encounters. Instead of finding Lovett nursing a snake bite, Cunningham recalled seeing the soldier being dragged by a long serpentine arm wrapped around his leg and connected to a silver disc hovering in the air 15 to 20 feet away. Cunningham watched in horror as Lovett was dragged into the craft, which then rose vertically into the sky. The Major then stumbled toward his jeep and radioed for assistance. Security teams arrived and the disturbed Cunningham was confined to the base hospital for observation and treatment after retelling what he believed he witnessed. According to Joseph's Military Encounters book, base personnel did confirm an unidentified radar contact near Holloman at the time Lovett vanished. The base dispatched search parties into the desert, but it took 3 days before Lovett's body was eventually discovered 10 miles from the site of the alleged abduction. When an autopsy was carried out, indications showed that the body had been exposed to the elements for 24 to 48 hours. The report offered no explanation of what might account for the missing 3rd day, and the autopsy performed on Lovett raised more questions than it delivered answers. The first question was, why had Lovett's body been so severely mutilated? His tongue had been cut from the lower portion of the jaw, his eyes gouged out, and his anus removed. In the Air Force medical examination report pertaining to the incident, it was alleged that the coroner remarked on the apparent surgical skill used to remove the organs, in particular that the anus and genitalia had been neatly extracted like a plug. Perhaps most puzzling was the fact that the body had been completely drained of blood. But surprisingly, there was no vascular collapse usually associated with death by bleeding. Though grudge reports 1 through 12 have been declassified along with Report 14, no official mention or accounting of Report 13 exists. Frederick Valentich. The story of Frederick Valentich is another account of alien contact, and his encounter explained fully why his disappearance was kept a secret until it was leaked anonymously. Valentich vanished on the evening of October 21, 1978, which was a Saturday, and according to Australia's Department of Transport, Valentich was flying a Cessna 182L, which was registered under the letters VHDSJ. He had 150 flying hours under his belt and was 20 years old on the night he vanished. He had obtained a Class 4 instrument rating on the 11th of May 1978, so he was authorized to operate at night in visual meteorological conditions. On the afternoon of the 21st of October 1978, he attended the Morababin briefing office, obtained a meteorological briefing, and, at 17:23 hours, submitted a flight plan for a night VMC flight from Morabin to King Island and return. The cruising altitude nominated in the flight plan was below 5,000 feet, with estimated time intervals of 41 minutes to Cape Otway and 28 minutes from Cape Otway to King Island. The total fuel endurance was shown as 300 minutes. The pilot made no arrangements for aerodrome lighting to be illuminated for his arrival at King Island. He advised the briefing officer and the operator's representative that he was uplifting friends at King Island and took 4 life jackets in the aircraft with him. The aircraft was refueled to capacity at 18:10 hours and departed Moorabbin at 18:19 hours. After departure, the pilot established two-way radio communications with Melbourne Flight Service Unit. The pilot reported Cape Otway at 1900 hours, and the next transmission received from the aircraft was at 1906 hours. That was where the trouble began. Valentich radioed the Melbourne FSU about a large aircraft, asking them if they were aware of its existence in the air. The flight service unit said it wasn't aware. They then went on to ask Valentich what the aircraft looked like, and from the recorded transmission, Valentich said that it was so bright it seemed to be like landing lights. The flight service station was still quite shocked at this development and was trying to solve the riddle when Valentich broke the silence again, saying that the large aircraft had started to approach him, and the aircraft was approaching him with an incredible speed. And then all of a sudden, it vanished. Weird radio signals. Space in its entirety is a fragile topic with a complex context, and us having aliens among us just makes the whole situation even weirder. Well, recently some research was carried out with telescopes that were used to obtain signals from outer space and signs of civilizations outside of our planet. It was there a particular signal was picked up. Until today, this signal remains the center of attraction for scientists and ufologists. Discovering this signal was a major shock for the entire team of scientists at the time, as all the astronomers were shocked to have found a very unique but weird signal, which Brian and his team knew could not come from anywhere else but an advanced civilization. This signal was detected around the vicinity of the constellation Sagittarius, and that signal was so peculiar to the team of scientists it had to be studied immediately. While scientists and astronomers studied the situation and tried to figure out why this file was kept a secret, they saw the truth. At the same time, they saw a possible phenomenon that could have been the cause of these signals, which is fast radio bursts, also known as FRBs. They are bright, fleeting blasts of radio waves that emit from an area in a nearby galaxy, and their association to these leaked documents is slowly deepening one of astronomy's biggest mysteries. The repeating bursts of energy seem to be coming from an ancient group of stars called a globular cluster, which is among the last places astronomers expected to find them. An ancient group of stars, and stars are often known to hold planets in them. So does this confirm that aliens are on those planets and the ones transmitting messages? Well, a couple of astronomers and scientists do not seem to agree with that theory. This is definitely not a place where fast radio bursts are expected to live. Brian Gainsler, an astronomer at the University of Toronto and co-author of the new paper, posted on Twitter, "Just what is going on?" Other scientists like Brian as well are struggling to explain this cosmic anachronism. They're also moving toward the conclusion that maybe, as with many other celestial phenomena, there are multiple ways to cook up a fast radio burst. FRBs might just be this generic phenomenon associated with a whole range of possible sources, says Cornell University astronomer Shami Chatterjee, who studies the burst but is not part of the discovery team. However, one particular thing about this entire phenomenon, which still mesmerizes us as equally as scientists and astronomers, was that this strange signal was found on a weird wavelength that the entire team of scientists knew that only an intelligent civilization might choose to use for transmission. And alas, their suspicions were correct because it was that wavelength. These leaks about information pertaining to weird phenomena will always continue to rock our world as we always continue to uncover and explore certain discoveries and more leaked info from Anonymous. Well, that's all on the top 10 signs of aliens leaked by Anonymous. Bye for now.